ropes here, ropes like that, a fish gun in his hand, looking like one really mad person. She discovered she wanted to run around naked. I have the permission to tell the story. She loved to run around naked. And then Max really fell between the ship and the dock in the water. Us, because we had free access to Navy Island.
They have a significance in...
for the story. You can see it's kind of not so easy to even speak about it now.
Hey my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Mel, and as usual we're here with mommy, so it's another story time. Yeah, as usual I'm not bad yet, so I don't have nothing to say. Mommy, go ahead and tell your stories.
Okay. Disclaimer: the stories that I'm going to tell in this series are my experience, my truth, and my point of view over the past 38 years that I have been in Jamaica. And it's in no way intended to slander any person, the culture of Jamaica, or the island as a whole. Hi Mel's lovelies, here we are back again. Although last time I finished with that we were looking for a new place to live and something came up eventually. I would still like to use this story time to tell a few more stories from the previous time then, or from where we reached. Basically, let's start even with Mayumi. Mayumi, at the time we took over the marina, she was 5 years old and was able to swim a bit, but she wasn't all that firm in it. And my children, when they came from school, the other ones would just take off their clothes and jump in the water because we were right in the harbor, and have a nice time. And of course she always wanted to be with them and around them. And as it happened, one day the boys weren't even in the water, she dropped in. Nobody saw it. So she was basically all on her own to save her little butt to come out of the water. And actually I didn't see it, I wasn't aware of it, and I think it's finally one of my sons realized that that girl was in the water, and she paddled towards the dock and she could hold on there, and finally one of them kind of fished her out. But I mean, that was really a bit of a danger in that place, because I mean, I was glad that my boys could swim. Obviously Mayumi could keep herself up, but from then on we really started to make sure that all of them could swim, because I didn't want to live anything like that anymore with her or anybody. Actually, around the same time we had one ship coming in, a beautiful wooden sail ship. Her name was Tetahua, it's a Hawaiian name, and the captain was a German guy as well, with his wife and his little son Max, and he had another skipper on board. And same thing happened to Max. I mean, one evening we all were sitting in the marina together when we suddenly heard push, and then like ah! And then Max really fell between the ship and the dock in the water. So everybody was like, oh my god, we have to get this child out. Everything was fine, we got him out, nothing happened. But you can see the life in the marina wasn't all that without dangers.
Because keep in mind, there weren't any railings on the sides really.
Right.
It was just open, so you know, it could happen to anyone. You could basically just be drunk. And
we had that too. quite a few drunk people either jumped on their own account or they were like,
yeah,
fell in.
It would be really easy to just, you know, fall in.
But we couldn't close it with ropes neither because boats were normally docked all along and people wanted to get on and off their boats easily. So there was no way we could put a rail there. So that was the 2 stories with the almost drowning, which luckily never happened. And then Mayumi got famous in another way. She was, we started to live in the marina, or be in the marina. She discovered she wanted to run around naked. I have the permission to tell the story. She loved to run around naked. So I would put on clothes on her in the morning. 10 minutes later, she was naked. You know, and it was like, alright, so fine if she wanted to run around naked, but she would come in the restaurant part, stark naked. So I said, you can't do that. So either your clothes or your... She wouldn't listen. I would about dress her easily 5-6 times a day. Because few minutes, like when I see that child stark naked again. And then she developed this habit to come in when we had guests sitting at their tables enjoying their food. She would come in, this little, very pretty, very feisty looking girl, stark naked, and go right beside their table and look at them like, I'm starving, you know. And then of course they were all sorry for her. They thought that she was like some Jamaican picnic or so, and they were sorry for her and gave her french fries and whatever else, until I always had to go to the table.
Some Jamaican homeless picnic, you mean?
Jamaican homeless picnic,
not just
sorry.
some Jamaican picnic.
No, sorry, yeah, it was a very wrong expression. Sorry, yeah. So until I had to go to the tables and apologize and say, I'm so sorry that this happened again, but this is my daughter. She is definitely not starving. and I hope you don't mind, but I'm going to take her away now. And everybody was always like, no, she is so cute, she is so nice, she can stay, no problem, you know. And I still took her though. But I don't know how long that phase went. It was a good while, and the amount of times I had to apologize and take her from tables, you know. But for her it was fun because of course she felt like, I'm admired here, I'm getting what I want. So for her it was a perfect situation. Now every year in October, beginning of October, the marlins, the big swordfish, are passing through the Caribbean and passing by Jamaica. And years and years ago they had established a marlin tournament, which meant that at that time it was about 50 to 60 boats would come, some from the Cayman, some even from Florida, some just from Jamaica, all around, from Montego Bay, from Ochi, from farmers, wherever they had dockage, and gather at, not my marina, there was another marina in Port Antonio, gather there. And it was a real big event in Port Antonio at the time. And like with a lot of parties too, of course, but very serious fishing, very serious. Like they would come in on the Friday before the tournament would start. The fishing would start Monday, always. They would come in, most of them Friday, Saturday, little by little, get their dockage space, and then in the evening, of course, was a big party, some live music, a lot of drinking, a lot of, hey, I haven't seen you in such a long time, and so it was very, very nice. And my marina got involved in that whole thing as well, because we did have, in the beginning, we did have the place for them to get fuel. The other marina didn't have any fueling. So what happened then, of course, at the same time, everybody would come over little by little, full up their boats for the tournament, so they were ready on Monday. Again, a lot of partying, a lot of drinking, a lot of hi, hello, long time no see, and it was a really, really interesting and nice time. And then on Mondays, the tournament would start. early in the morning by 8 o'clock. And what happened, even sometimes even the prime minister or some high politician from the island would come and officially open the tournament. So you can see it was kind of a real highly respected event. And they would fish until 5 o'clock in the evening, and then they had to be in by 5. Every boat had to be in, compulsory. The only way you could get around that is if at that time you would have a marlin hooked but didn't bring it in yet. Then they would have to call in and say, I have one hooked here, it's approximately so and so many pounds, I still have to get him in. That's when they would allow that boat to come in later officially, because the rules were pretty strict. You know, you have that time, from that time to that time to fish.
So could you easily lie and say you have one?
They wouldn't do that. No, they wouldn't do that, because first of all, if you didn't bring in the fish, then, you know.
But don't they lose fishes sometimes?
Yeah, but I mean, once you're fighting, then they would have to say right away, we lost it. And then come in. But you see, they have their pride of course, you know. It's a tournament, and it's not for cheating. It's not about cheating. It's really about having the sportive how you say,
the
sportsmanship, and they wouldn't do that.
Okay.
And it didn't happen every night neither. I mean, it's like most of the time everybody came in time. Then they had the fish weighing. Every ship would bring their fish on land, and there was this huge scale that was hung up, because sometimes a marlin cannot be, I mean, those times we got the bigger ones, they can be easily between 300 and 500 pounds, and talking about like 10 feet long and more, you know. So this scale was really way up, and then they would hang up the fish underneath, and then it would show the weight. And then you had then the the person who won that day's fishing with the heaviest fish. They had other categories too, like, of course they wouldn't only catch marlin, they would catch like tuna or kingfish.
It was
or
like a
else.
daily
it was
challenge, like every day someone would win, or
not win. No, but well, officially for that day, yeah, he would be the winner. But eventually, it was a 4-day event. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays the fishermen would go out, the Port Antonio fishermen, and then Thursday, Friday, and Friday evening then was prize giving and stuff.
Okay.
So every day, of course, there was the day's winner, as you said, and then Tuesday. Again, the same thing.
Yeah, at the end they have.
And after the weighing, now we would get the boats coming in again who needed fuel. So they would come over to my marina and fuel up again, and then go over back. On Wednesdays was always a day for the Port Antonio fishermen. The regular, your regular with the long little wooden boats, those guys would be sent out and compete with the big guys with the big motor boats with big equipment
to catch marlin as well.
Same marlin. And believe you me, there were some years when they won. They had the biggest fish of the entire tournament. Entire tournament.
Why were they only allowed on one day?
Because it was this tradition thing. First of all, to be able to attend the tournament, you had to pay an entrance fee and stuff like that. So they could never afford that. Their day was free.
Oh,
you know, and they would be sponsored, and they would get guests for that day, and they would get a t-shirt. And so for them, it was just like, we get that day for ourselves. Basically, we get a little stuff free for us, which was good for them. And still they would be seriously competing. And as I was saying, that I remember one year there was this guy. He called in after 5, no, just before 5, and said, guys, I cannot make it. I'm way out at Manchunil. Manchunil is about
far. Well, by
40 miles down the coast, with a boat like that because he had hooked a huge marlin, I mean huge, and he was still fighting it. And then he had to come back from that area too. But he got it eventually. He came back and it was a 500 something pound marlin. I mean, that thing was huge, you know, and really fat, you know. I mean, amazing. I saw it when they weighed it, and it was like, I was like in awe. I mean, it was such a big fish, you know. So those fishermen always had their fun day, and at that day none of the other boats were supposed to go out, which they didn't. What they did, they would go to Frenchman's Cove and have a big party. Yeah, so that was their rest day, they called it officially.
Because then I misunderstood what you said earlier, because earlier you made it seem like they went out and competed against
not the same day. That day was strictly for the fishermen alone.
Okay.
And that was the rest day for the other boats, and they would just have a big party at Frenchman's Cove and enjoy themselves through the day. And then Thursday morning, bright and early, and I have to mention still, after the official opening the other days, they could go out as early as they wished. They could all go 5 o'clock in the morning if they wanted to. It was just the first morning where they had to wait until 8 o'clock. So you still would see boats way out to sea from early morning already. So they did the same thing on Thursdays, same things on Fridays, and then Friday evening they gathered together all day. Results from throughout the week.
They tallied up.
Yeah. And then it was prize giving. It was always a big event too. Everybody was looking forward. I mean, you have to imagine, if you have a fishing boat that, we are not talking the small ones, we are talking like 40 feet going up to, I mean, boats that sometimes cost millions of dollars US, you know, and then each boat would have a crew of about 4, 5, 6 people at least. Not all of them were registered as fishermen. That came too. I mean, you had to register yourself as somebody who would be fishing actually. But still, there were quite a few people. So can you imagine on a Friday evening now when everybody come together in this one area for prize giving, and then it was a big thing, and they had those pokers, and they had the paintings, and they had other prizes for all kind of categories they had. So it was a nice event. And then in those years they always had a live band, like Byron Lee and the Dragonaires, for example, which were very famous at the time throughout Jamaica and even worldwide. So they would have a gig there. People would party after and laugh and dance. It was wonderful. Today, nothing like that anymore. Forget it. If we get 13, 14, 15 boats together, it's a lot. That was those times. So my Marina was involved that way. Of course, we could go in freely and come out, my whole family, because normally you cannot just go in while this event is taking place as a normal street person if you want to. It is just like certain people, or you would need an invitation or something. So my family of course was allowed in there, and my children of course had a blast all the time too. So that was the biggest event throughout the year. But in year 3, as it happened, we got the fuel from Shell at the time, and Shell decided to move over the gas station to the other marina then. So I only had that big upheaval for 2 years. But even the following years, people would come by and just stop by and say hi and have a few drinks. It wasn't as busy and as lively as it used to be, but it was still good.
So and question, nowadays they do this Miss Marlin tournament.
Yes, they did.
No, was that something they did back then as well, or they started that rather recently?
No, it's the same Marlin tournament.
Miss Marlin,
oh,
the beauty pageant.
Oh! No, they didn't have that.
They had that back then
there
already.
were all kind of events throughout those weeks, and or throughout that week. It was 1 week. They had a lot of sponsors. You would go in there, you would get free this and free that and free that, you know, because everybody was eager to show their products and stuff. They would have this beauty pageant. They would have some game playing sometimes too, or some other little competitions between the people, and so, no, it was very entertaining. So that was part of it too.
Yeah, I was just wondering if it was back then as well.
Yeah, I think it stems from those times.
It's something that they do now, same way.
Yeah, I think it came from those times, and way before my time there.
Okay.
So having the marina brought a few other privileges too for us, because we had free access to Navy Island. Navy Island is the island that is laying in the same harbor where we are, a little further out. And at that time it was a hotel with a few little cottages scattered all over the place, and they had cleaned up a beach behind the island. They had a swimming pool. They had a main house with a few rooms and a restaurant. It was really beautiful. It was like basically founded, the big house, the main house actually was built by Errol Flynn, who did own the island at one point in time, but of course when we came he was long since dead, although his wife was still alive and she was in the area and had her own piece of land further down. And I met the whole family. I met his daughter, I met his grandson, who is still around now. And so my children, they were so keen on going to Navy Island because there was this pool. I mean, hey, you have to see around you day and night, you want a pool. So at that time, to reach over there, they had a little ferry. The dockage for the ferry was a little further down from our marina, and we would walk over there, just hop on the ferry and go over, everything for free. Everybody else had to pay for it. And go to the pool, and right around the pool was a lot of mango trees. So my children, when mango time come, they were like not only swimming, they were feasting on mango. I didn't even have to cook them dinner when we came home because I was so full of mango. And we could go down to the beach as well and mingle with whoever was there. And I mean, Navy Island used to be so beautiful, and now since 20 odd years there is nothing going on there. The nice building, the restaurant main house building that Errol Flynn built, is broken down completely. It's gone. There's nothing on the island anymore.
I mean, they're like ruins left. Yes.
Yeah, ruins left, of course, but I mean nothing operable, or nothing is done with it. They have wild goat over there. They have people who do some farming over there even.
Yeah.
Which officially is, of course, is not allowed. But nothing else is going on there. A lot of people have tried to buy that island. I mean, from famous actors over investors over whatever else who wanted to build whole heap of things. A casino was mentioned at one point in time, which then the churches in Port Antonio were screaming out loud, "No, gambling is against God's law, we can't have that here." So that plan died. So this island is basically turning back to wilderness since a good while now, and nothing has happened with it. But at those times it was really nice to go there and beautiful, and we had a good time there all the time.
So maybe one of these days we could try and, you know, access that island again for you guys, and do
we could. Yeah, we can.
We can easily.
Yeah, we can. And show you around, because
yeah, show you how it was.
You can get a glimpse of your former beauty and formidability. Is that the word?
Oh, what?
It was formidable.
Yeah, so maybe once we get back to Jamaica, we can see about doing that one of these days for you guys. So let me know if you would be interested in seeing a Navy Island tour.
So as we were living in bliss at that time and had quite a few rooms in there, which, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, all of them had water beds. We were sleeping on water beds. I mean, it was kind of, at first it was weird, you know, But then, I mean, it's comfortable. It is not bad. So I got to enjoy it, actually. But it was, in the beginning, I was very skeptical, to say the least. So being up there and having space, some friends of ours started to come from Germany, or even if I met some people in the marina or somewhere else, and they were looking for some space to stay, I could offer them a space, you know. Because, as I have mentioned before, we met tons of people. I mean, incredible. Just through the work in the marina and being around and living on the hunches first and then up in Bliss, and we met so many people. The children had their own group, I had my own group, and then, as I mentioned, people coming from Europe, and then they would come in the marina. Oh, we heard that you are German. And then you get to talk, and then, yeah, we are looking for a place to stay, and then they could say, okay, come up to Bliss.
So basically, as a German in Port Antonio, you can't hide.
No, you cannot hide. I mean, everybody knows that. And at that point in time, they would just, like, in one of my first stories, if you remember, the same thing did happen already. We lived up in Springbank, and people were just sent to us because we are German. When the hurricane happened, after the hurricane, people were sent to us because I was German, you know? It is like, you cannot get out of it, which sometimes it's a little bit hard, but basically I enjoyed it too, because, as I said, you get to meet interesting people. And so some friends of ours, as I mentioned, came and had a good time, and then I met another German girl that I met her in Jamaica. And she was looking for a place to stay, so I said, hey, we have the one room. Of course, they would give us a little money, but I mean, cheaper than a hotel for sure, or a guest house. So she agreed to come up there, and we became really good friends. We are friends up to this day. And I remember one day, we were down in the marina, and we decided to go up. She had a boyfriend at the time. And we said, okay, we're going up to the house now. Because, I don't know, it was nothing else to do.
A Jamaican boyfriend?
Yeah. And suddenly Drew turned up and got very angry. Don't ask me why. Because, I mean, that I will come to that a little bit later. He just got angry and we started to quarrel down there in the marina. And I hated to do that because, of course, you don't do these things in your business place. So I just basically jumped in the car with our boyfriend and we drove. No, ich glaube, after.
No.
And we drove up. And when we reached up there, we would sit on the veranda because Bliss had a beautiful big veranda out front where you had that view. Did you show them?
Yeah, I showed them the view.
Where they had that view. So of course it was the place to sit and relax. And we were talking and laughing and having a good time, when suddenly this figure, it was getting dark, right? Figure jumped on the veranda, not coming from the steps also or nothing, jumped on the veranda, and the veranda was a good way above ground. And when I looked up, it was Drew, having ropes here, ropes like that, a fish gun in his hand, looking like one really mad person, fuming, pointing the fish gun at us and starting to quarrel and shout and honestly, we had to refrain from laughing because this was like, what is this movie called? You know? Where does this come from? And especially my friend and me, we were like always laughing anyhow. We had a good time together. We always saw things in a very comical way, and then for us it was almost impossible not to laugh. But we couldn't laugh because the way this man was angry, I mean, he could have shoot his fish gun seriously, you know. So out of diplomacy, I would say, we really stifled the laugh, you know, we were just looking at each other like so, and really trying hard not to laugh, you know. And then he was ranting and raving. Again, I have no idea what it was all about. And then finally he kind of cooled down and walked in the house and went upstairs where our living quarters were. And we looked at each other, and then we started to laugh. I mean, we could not stop laughing. We were cracking up. It was like, really, this is the wrong movie here, you know. And the reason why I tell this story right now, this was a funny story, but I'm very sorry to say the relationship with Drew was extremely difficult. Depending on his amount of spliffs per day, depending on his mood when he woke up in the morning, depending if something went wrong in his life, he would be very, very aggressive, violent. He beat me several times over the years. Yeah, well, I decided, basically, I do not really want to go into all the details about this part of my life and our relationship in this stories here, because it is too negative. I have to go into them 1 or 2 times to explain certain situations, but please keep in mind, I have had a very bad relationship basically with him. Of course, it could be wonderful, it could be very charming, very supportive, very helpful, a very good person. That man I loved. But then there was like a switch. Literally 1 second he would be in a good mood, and the next second suddenly it's like somebody turn a switch and he would become this absolute monster. So, as I said before, I do not really want to go into details about that side of my relationship. I will mention maybe 2 or 3 more situations that
they have a significance in
for the story. You can see it's kind of not so easy to even speak about it now. But I don't want you guys neither to see him now as this really bad person. It is just his personality, his temper, his childhood probably as well.
Well, at that time, who knows how he is now, so.
Exactly. We are apart since many years now, and I have no idea who he is now. But so, but I did have to mention this in order to continue with the story and making sense in the end.
Basically,
yeah. After, I don't even can recall exactly how long we did live up in bliss, which is weird, but as I mentioned last time, we were starting to look for somewhere else to live. Not really in any big way, but we were open for suggestions, let's say it that way.
Because remember, they didn't feel comfortable anymore because of the whole robbery situation.
Because of the robbery, right. So in one of my trips to, no, one guy did come to the marina in his boat, and he was a smuggler as well, and he left back to Florida, and he called one day and said, "Sabina, are you interested in getting a houseboat?" And I said, "What do you mean getting a houseboat?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm here in the Keys, in No Name Key, and my friends here, they built a house and they were living on a houseboat up to now, and they want to sell it. And I thought about you right away." And I said, "Wow." And yeah, what's the price? And then, yeah, I'm going to send you some pictures, and then you can decide. It's not urgent, or so you don't have to decide this minute. Do you have a little time? And I said, yeah, of course, send me some pictures, which she did then. And I looked at that and figured, well, I own a marina already. I might as well have a boat in the marina again for myself. And now a houseboat is a completely different league than a ship, because I mean it is made to live on. It is not made to drive around or sail around with it. It's definitely just made to anchor somewhere and live on. And I found that idea quite intriguing. And then when he sent the photos, you have some of those, you can show them.
I think so.
I got even more intrigued. So I talked to my mommy again. Mommy is always my savior in these situations, because me alone couldn't manage, and showed her the pictures as well and said, look mommy, this is and or was she even there at the time? And when the pictures came, could be too, because my mommy spent 3 months every year in Jamaica, as I have mentioned, I hope, before. And it could have been even at the time when she was there that she saw those pictures, and then we sat together and kind of started planning, and then she said, okay, I think that's a good idea. You have your own swimming house, you have the marina already, you don't have to pay any dockage fees, no nothing basically, so that would be a good thing. And then mommy went back to Germany and got things arranged, and I got things arranged in Florida, and what is happening then will be our next story.
So yeah guys, thank you so much for watching. As usual, you know, as always, there's a lot of ups and downs, funny moments, not so funny moments. You know, we had some dark times.
Yep.
But then again, also a lot of fun times. But this is how it will be in, you know, story time. You never know.
Oh, quite a few more bangers to come.
Yeah.
I swear.
But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching and continuously supporting us. You know, we appreciate every single one of you guys, and we hope you enjoy, and we will see you in our next video. Bye.